Hi, everybody. I'm Scott West, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Datto, working on the Datto Networking product line. And recently, there's been some questions that have been raised in the marketplace, primarily from some of our open mesh partners, related to the fact that we've integrated the Datto Networking team and the open mesh teams, and we have stopped selling the open mesh brand in the marketplace. So today, I brought John Tippett in here, our VP of Networking, to really kind of get to the bottom of this and understand what's going on. So, John, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell me just what's going on here?
Well, the recent news was that the Open Mesh product is no longer available in the market for direct purchase, and that's the conversation that folks are having. But to get to this point, let's kind of take a step back and you think, where did this begin? Like, why did Datto find interest in Open Mesh in the first place? We acquired Open Mesh it's been over 2 years now because we saw an amazing opportunity in the marketplace for us to deliver a product to MSPs that delivers a networking product line that's focused on their needs. And when we look at the marketplace overall, it's an ignored space. It's amazing. There's lots of different vendors, there's lots of different gear, but in talking to partners, no vendor today is concentrating on what MSPs need. Literally, networking today is not built for MSPs. And so we decided to do something about that because Datto is focused on MSPs. And looking out in the marketplace to find a partner and an acquisition that we could make that would help us gain expertise and fuel our ability to respond to that demand is how we met Open Mesh. Open Mesh is a great product, great company, a lot of good intellectual property and expertise that's been developed for over 10 years. And so we acquired Open Mesh, the team, the products, all of that knowledge, and brought them into Datto to allow us to build this MSP-centric networking product line that we launched, Datto Networking.
Okay, so that tells us how we got to Datto Networking. But the recent news about how we are no longer selling open mesh, that's a big concern for some of the open mesh partners. It's generating some conversation. So,
Right.
so if I'm an open mesh partner, how would you tell me why that's beneficial for me?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's tough because Open Mesh was and is such a great product. It's a nice cloud management platform.
You have some open mesh in your house.
Yeah,
right?
you know, as a former MSP and an individual consumer, I mean, I've bought and used Open Mesh, so I get it. Like with the Open Mesh product, generally, if you use it, you become a fan right out of the gate, which of course is why it was so attractive to Datto. But it's just a great product. It works really well. The price point is low because there's just so much focus on engineering and how to do things in a different way. Literally from how things are laid out in the hardware to how you interact with it in the cloud. And so it's a very appealing product. And for that, anyone that uses it, it's quick to become attached to it. It's just a great business model. It's available to anyone, anywhere. So of course, disrupting that or making any kind of change to that is a tough call to make, and we didn't make it lightly. It's a decision that's based on the opportunity we have by focusing on the MSPs that Datto can serve. We cannot carry a brand that serves MSPs, but also serves the rest of the networking space that is available to end users and available on Amazon and available through distribution. And then we think about we need to differentiate it, which means we need two different networking product lines, and they become competitive. And you know, when you look at the vision that Datto has, and then you look at the capabilities that we gained from the Open Mesh team, it just becomes increasingly clear that we need to put all our investment on the MSP and make a tough decision. And again, one that wasn't made lightly, but Datto exists for the success and the future of MSPs. And so that's where all our investment goes. And the recent decision was to pull all of those teams together, focus the resources together, and focus on a single brand with a single mission.
So if I'm an open mesh partner, I have inexpensive hardware, I have no charge for cloud management, and I have free cloud management for life. That was like some of the things that I signed up for. Datto is in the business of selling to MSPs, which have monthly service component. So if I'm a skeptical MSP and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, they just bought Open Mesh to throw a monthly service fee on top of it, and that's how they're gonna make their money. So
That's fair. That's right. That is a fair assessment to make. Number one, because I can tell you again, as a former MSP, the MSP space is routinely jerked around by vendors, and so the natural reaction is, here we go again, and I totally understand that. So the first priority for us is to the fullest extent possible, do no harm. And by that, we did not disable the functionality of the product. We don't intend to. CloudTrax is the management platform used by the Open Mesh partner base. It is still available. There are no monthly fees attached to partners. We have no current plans to do anything to stop it from functioning. This is simply an adjustment to allow us to meet our goals. And those goals specifically are things like right out of the gate, if you're an MSP, you need support and warranty and additional functionality that we have coming. Some of it's been released, some of it's on the roadmap, but right out of the gate, the warranty was extended, phone support was added, and the reality of it is all those things cost money. A comprehensive cloud management platform costs everyone. It costs Datto money. Like, we can't even do that. It
costs Open Mesh money to
and it costs
deliver.
Open Mesh money, and in order for Open Mesh to deliver the cloud management platform, they have to limit some of the functionality. So, for example, how often the access points and switches check into the cloud has to be limited in order to keep the costs even consumable in that model. And so you find talking to MSPs and saying, what's your experience with the Open Mesh product, managing it in the cloud if it goes offline, for example, and it could be 30, 40 minutes before the cloud actually recognizes that it's not online. Now, there's nothing wrong with that in the Open Mesh model because it's a free cloud. However, as an MSP, that's not acceptable. I need to know right away that the product is not available and not online. I need faster information, more real-time information. I need logging. I need user management, and I need audit logs of those users. When they logged in, where did they go? What did they do? And all of those things require some level of income and service to support, to keep that level of engineering engagement, to support the cloud infrastructure behind that and develop it, requires that. What we did differently was we did everything we could to keep that manageable, keep hardware costs low. The hardware costs for Datto Networking are significantly less than they were with Open Mesh. So if we were trying to just say Open Mesh is a cool product, they should have been charging monthly, why not leave the hardware where it is and slap a monthly on it? We literally did everything we could to align it with managed services, bring the hardware costs down. Unfortunately, there does need to be this monthly fee, but our intent is to make that value that we're offering around the monthly fee overwhelmingly positive. Right out of the gate, you saw immediate changes like lifetime warranty on the products, availability of phone support. We started creating a multi-tenancy platform to connect everything together that's now fully functional, reporting capabilities. You've seen a lot of refresh in the UI in the short period of time that Datto has owned the product. Our switch pages just got a complete overhaul that made them very MSP centric and friendly, where you can copy configs between them. But that was done with both brands existing in parallel, where we still have two brands. How do we communicate the cloud? How do we manage the warranty? Now that we have consolidated everything and we have one mission and all the team working, the pace of development and releases you're going to see is going to be amazing. We have a lot of updates coming even between now and DattoCon. A lot of the things I mentioned about faster check-in, logging are all on the roadmap, and they're all coming out.
So that makes me just makes me think of another question related to Datto's influence on the way we develop and build products in the networking product line. So if you can give some examples, because I know Open Mesh has historically been very successful in building really, really good products. But
Sure.
Datto's had a profound influence on that since we acquired the company and have introduced new products to the market that are beneficial to MSPs. So talk a little bit about that, starting with the APs and then kind of where we're going.
Well, actually, starting with the service is the most profound change. If you think about the difference in the Open Mesh model, or any company that operates in the model where there's no type of renewal, no ongoing fee, the success of the company depends on the sale of the next box. the next product, the next SKU. So the incentives are misaligned. Why would you offer a long warranty? Like, you hope that it at some point needs to be replaced. You need a hardware refresh. And at Datto, we're much more incentivized to keep your business for the long term. So if you think about that, on the monthly side, we're investing in the cloud, we're investing in integrations, we're investing in products never failing, we're investing in doing everything we can to help our partnership and your experience with networking be more productive. And if that means that the device in the field stays there, for an extended years period of time, like, that's great. Our number one incentive is for you to never go away as a partner, versus the other model is your number one incentive. The worst customer you can have is someone who buys a few access points, puts them in, and they work for 10 years, you never have a problem. By definition, that's the worst customer you could have, and it's very misaligned. So it immediately starts with changing our priorities to service-oriented, impactful changes and keeping customers involved for the long run.
That's interesting, because I was actually thinking about something different, but what
Right.
you described, the incentives for customers to keep products, they're very differently aligned.
Just
And
from a standard business standpoint, if you think, it's why managed services is appealing, right?
Right.
When you sell managed services versus a break fix model, in the break fix model, you get paid when your customer has a problem,
Right.
calls you, and you send a bill. In the managed services model, you can actually provide an ongoing service, and you actually never want anything to take place that you didn't plan. This is much the same here. The change from the legacy open mesh model to the Datto networking model is very much like break fix transition into managed services, and we're very well aligned with the MSP and therefore with the customers that they're selling managed services to.
Yeah, that makes sense. So my initial thought was related to some of the changes we've made in the hardware.
Right.
And I know if I'm an open mesh partner, obviously I care about quality hardware. And so talk about a little some of the things we've done on the hardware side, because Datto's had a big influence on the development. Obviously, the working with the team in Portland and leveraging their knowledge and expertise. But talk about what we've done and how the combined organization has really kind of taken things to the next level on the hardware side.
Yeah, well, the first thing is the collaboration of the team members, right? You go from an open mesh organization with dozens of employees to Datto today with hundreds of employees, 1,400 plus employees all around the globe, and the expertise that can be gained is immense. So Datto has been building hardware since day one, back from the videos with Austin, building
Right.
with duct tape and Legos, right? I mean,
Right.
we've come from that to a full-blown facility and custom-built hardware and detailed, how we go about doing this, plus the expertise that was already with OpenMesh. There was so much expertise in engineering and wireless technology and switching technology. Combine the teams together and then the funding that Datto can provide into these efforts, and it's amazing. The founder of OpenMesh, Michael Burmeister Brown, is still here, and his ideas and innovation are now fully just fueled, and he's actually our chief scientist and
Right.
constantly like pushing the boundary. What can we do next? Full team of engineers. And so as that relates back to what we're able to do with hardware, we can take that expertise, and the pricing model we talked about plus the expertise lets us do a lot more.
You mentioned the pricing model, so I want to talk a little bit about that. If I'm an open mesh partner, it's very different than what I'm used to. So
Right.
just structurally, talk about what is the Datto networking pricing model. So if I'm an open mesh partner, I want to become a Datto networking partner, what can I expect?
So the general change from the open mesh perspective is you're used to a one-time transaction. You buy a product, you charge your customer for that product, and you install it. Some partners add services around that. Some partners still support it in a break fix model. The biggest material change is that when you purchase from Datto Networking, you will experience a lower upfront cost and then ongoing monthly service fee right out of the gate. So to be blunt, like, that's the big difference. And so your question then becomes, what's the reason for me to do that? If I compare, and these are apples to apples,
Right.
All MSPs are business savvy and will say, like, there's an ROI here somewhere that doesn't make sense. The difference becomes when you see what we've already started to do and what we're doing with the Datto Networking product line and the products that are coming out, the refreshes, what we can do with the cloud. That's just not available in the open mesh model. And so not only does the pricing model change, but then therefore it continues to fuel the capabilities that we can and will bring to market. And the more you have deployed of Datto Networking, all of those products will be elevated by these changes to the fullest extent they can. Back to your comment about the hardware too, that's why we're looking to bring in more performant hardware, keep hardware in the market as long as possible, because that's our goal. We want the hardware to stay put, and we want the benefit to come from the service that are deployed around it. We were careful to price it in a way too that allows it to be sold as a service. So the way other companies are accomplishing this are your big companies, the Cisco, Meraki, etc. They not only have high cost hardware, but they too have to fund the cloud and they fund support. They do it with prepaid licenses, annual licenses. And if you're an MSP, that's frustrating. Not only is it expensive, but you have to keep track of renewals and when they expire. And so we saw that pain point. And the magic that we're trying to accomplish with Datto Networking is finding the balance here of taking a powerful product like the Open Mesh product and the vision of what we can add to it. We already built the DNA and added that. We've added managed power since the integration as well, which wasn't part of the Open Mesh product line, and there's so much more coming. But do that in a way that can be consumed easily by MSPs, and that all of those costs can be fully passed through on an ongoing basis to their partner base. And that's what's really unique about what we're doing with Datto Networking. So on the surface, it does seem different, but we've done it in a way that we were very careful to make it friendly to the MSP.
So different, but if you're a managed service provider, you're used to delivering services on a monthly basis. So
right.
It's really designed to help them and facilitate their ability to make money.
Exactly. And it's new in the marketplace today. It's difficult to sell a networking product as a service, with the exception of Datto Networking, because you either have a model where you bought the hardware and then after a year, if it dies, how do you cover that? Or you've got to play banker and keep some money aside, or you get an expensive product with prepaid licensing and have to keep track of all that. It's just very, very difficult. So we're trying to make it simple for an MSP to avoid the conversation of, here's the hardware you have to buy, and then you need to pay a renewal, and here's your renewal dates. We wanted it to be very easy to go into a customer site if you're an MSP and say, there's 10 access points here, and because you're signing up for managed services, it's very easy for me to swap these out. Some of our partners are charging for the access points. Some of them simply include them in transition fees and sell them completely as a service. And that's the power of the Datto Networking pricing model, is that you have the flexibility to align it with the way you choose to do business, and you're not forced to do it one way or another.
So in conversations with Datto Networking partners, I know, like you mentioned, there's lots of different ways to do this. We've had partners that have never sold networking as a service before.
Right.
We've had partners who have been 100% break-fix shops. We've had partners that have been MSPs, and all of them have embraced the Datto Networking world. So if I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of an open mesh partner trying to make this transition. What are the things that Datto is going to do and to help me through that process? Because this seems like it could be a challenge. I know that we've had partners that have made that transition,
right.
But talk a little bit about the types of things that Datto does that help our partners, new partners, grow through these processes and get to the point where they're successful managed service providers.
Well, if you were using Open Mesh prior, you were either, to your point, using it in what I'll refer to as a break-fix model, or project-based sale. You were selling the product and installing it and getting some money, and then that was the end of that. Or some of the savvy MSPs were building it around a service. And so when you transfer that over to Datto Networking and say, what's the interaction like with Datto Networking? Number one is that the pricing is built in such a way that it's flexible. So you can charge that same way. If you go look at the ROI of the products, they're 2, 3, 4, 5 years frequently. There's material differences in what you can do, the ability to manage, monitor the device, and then again, not to talk about what's coming in the future too much because we want to keep it real, but the future is right around the corner, and the capabilities of the cloud are going to be immensely improved, and you can't do that in the old model. And so I'm really excited to do an update, catch up with you in a few months post DattoCon and when the cat's out of the bag. But there's a lot of flexibility that lets you sell it that way. So you're either going to come into the managed services model, and from that direction, Datto in the Datto portal and being part of the Datto ecosystem has immense resources. A big core value of Datto is to educate and give back. Anyone who's interacted with Datto can vouch for that. Any partner that you can talk to will say the resources, the training, education, ebooks, best practices, training videos. We do everything we can. Yeah, and the DattoCon events, they're largely peer-driven networking events that allow everyone to get together to learn and grow. And we wholeheartedly believe at Datto that the success of MSPs leads to the success of Datto. Not that we have to come up with an answer and convince the MSP to buy it, but if we invest in MSPs, they will invest in us, and everyone will be successful. And so you'll find a lot of value that in being part of the Datto ecosystem that you'll gain as an MSP that is not just directly related to networking. And plus, being in the Datto partner portal and being part of Datto, you have access to the entire line of backup products, professional services automation, the Autotask platform, Datto RMM is available, SaaS protection products, all managed through the same portal, and of course, all available through the channel only, which is a big deal. That you put OpenMesh on a quote and your customer sees it, they can type it in Amazon and they know how much it is. It's limited to how much money you can make, and Datto Networking is not available to direct consumer purchase, and so the MSP can package it in, sell it as a service, mark it up, sell based on the value. And that's important for us, is to allow MSPs to operate around the globe, whatever region or market you're in, is to have that flexibility to align it for your market and the way that you sell your services.
Okay, so I'm an OpenMesh partner. I like what you've had to say. I've listened to the conversation today. I want to look into becoming a Datto networking partner. What's involved?
Well, there's a couple of directions. If you are a Datto partner that was also using OpenMesh, it's as simple as talking to your Datto rep and letting them know that you'd like to learn more about Datto networking. If you are not a Datto partner, you can simply reach out to us anyway. You can send us an email. You can go to datto.com and fill out to become a partner form. In the networking section, there's lots of resources there. So not a sales tactic. If you just want to learn more and see content, there's a lot of educational information on the website or at datto.com/resources. There's different ebooks available. So you can do a lot of research on your own. And if you materially want help to become a Datto partner, simply fill any of that information out, call us, let us know that you want to be a partner. You'll be connected with one of our onboarding specialists. They'll take you through the entire process and help you get into the ecosystem.
So John, if I'm an OpenMesh partner and I have clients who actually have OpenMesh product installed,
right,
and I want to bring them into the Datto networking world, is there a path for me to be able to do so?
There is. So number one, if your customers that have devices deployed and they're managed through CloudTrax are not impacted by anything we're doing. It is not our intent to negatively impact anyone that's using OpenMesh. Again, this was a thoughtful, tough decision from the OpenMesh standpoint, but clear decision for the opportunity at Datto Networking.
And embraced by the OpenMesh team, even though it was a challenging conversation to have. It's been something that has been.
We're all still here, right? I mean, it's all Datto
about.
Networking. The product management team, the engineers, Michael Burmeister Brown, the original founder. It's all integral part of what we do. And we had a lot of conversations. It wasn't lighthearted. It was over 2 full years about what do we do, and we just realized how fast we could go. So number one is that your existing deployments still work. They're still managed. You can leave them alone. However, we do offer an ability to transfer your products into the Datto Partner Portal and effectively cause them to become Datto Networking products. That happens when they're managed through the portal, and then you have access through our technical support team, and you gain a lifetime warranty. All you have to do is let either your existing Datto rep know or contact Datto to become a partner, and we can look at your existing fleet. We can look at the hardware you have deployed and see what options are available to help migrate your products into the Datto Partner Portal. The monthly fee does apply, and the benefits associated with it also apply, but there are a lot of circumstances where we can help. For example, if you had just, the month of November purchased an entirely new product fleet and transferred it over, you would say, well, I paid full list price for OpenMesh. Why would I start paying monthlies? We agree. And there's a lot of things we can do to help with that transition. Likewise, if you have a lot of old products, we can help you with an upgrade path. So there's not a published path because every partner is different, every circumstance is different. But I would definitely want to assure all Open Mesh partners that if you desire to be part of Datto Networking and you want to be part of this ecosystem, we want you here as well. And so we want to talk to you. We want to understand your goals, share what we can. And worst case scenario, we're no worse off, right? We'll do everything we can to make it a meaningful transition. And there's no harm in us looking at it. So I would encourage you to engage in that conversation, explore your options, and let us see what we can make happen for you.
Okay, John, any last words that you'd like to say to the Open Mesh partners, those who, there may still be some that are out there, there may be some that listen to this video today and made up their minds that they want to move to the Datto Networking family. Some may still decide it's not where we want to go. What would you like them to leave? What kind of thoughts would you like them to leave with?
Yeah, I would say that we understand those that have come on board and those that are immediately excited to be a Datto Networking partner. We're thankful and we're excited you're here. For the managed services providers, IT shops that are accustomed to the Open Mesh model and may see frustration in the change, number one, I hope this information is helpful. It honestly is a tough decision, number one, and a decision that was intended to be as benevolent as possible. We had conflicting priorities that, ultimately at the end of the day, Datto is all about the managed services provider, and our mission with Datto Networking is clear. And unfortunately, maintaining two brands, leaving the product in the market, just interfered with that priority. And so when we get looking, paying attention to our core values, we got to pay attention to the MSP and focus on that. So it made the decision pretty clear for us. So for the partners who are still out there and wanting to understand more, I hope this helps provide some context. And then even for end users who are buying Open Mesh directly, we're more than happy to help you get connected to a managed services provider. We wholeheartedly believe that all businesses should engage with managed services providers and are happy to help you find someone in your local market that can help you with the transition and help give you options, because we'd love to retain your business as well. So regardless, we'll do everything we can to help earn the business of anyone that was using Open Mesh in the Datto ecosystem now moving forward.
Okay, John, well, thank you very much. This was very, very helpful. Hopefully it helped everybody that was listening and answering any questions. If you have other questions, please visit us at datto.com. And there's ways to get in touch with us on datto.com. We'll be happy to answer any additional questions you might have. So thank you, John. And
absolutely. Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, definitely.